Thank you so much, Kayla and Chamberlain Ryder. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Business Morning on Sunrise Daily. It's time to do 30 minutes of business before we head back to the Sunrise Daily studio. We start from the global space as usual, telling you that oil prices extended gains on Friday, climbing more than $1 a barrel to pair weekly losses as geopolitical tensions in the Middle East rose, following reports that Iran was preparing a retaliatory strike, on Israel from Iraq in the coming days. Taking a look at the number, we see Brent gained 2% in just one move. That's about $1.41 if we have that right there to the price of $74.22 a barrel. And then WTI gained even more than that, 2.1% to settle at $70.72 a barrel. And it's on the back of that news, Israeli intelligence suggesting that Iran is preparing to attack Israel from Iraqi territory in the coming days, possibly before the election, the U.S. presidential election, November 5. And oil prices also took support from expectations that OPEC Plus could delay December's planned increase to oil production by a month or more. These are the concerns and expectations from investors in the oil sector. And that, of course, is driving oil prices this morning. Well, back here in Nigeria, the Nigeria Governors Forum says that it is unmindful of the pains Nigerians are currently going through to make ends meet. Speaking after a meeting that lasted throughout the night, the governors say that they would support any efforts towards having more local crude oil refining capacity. The governor's position follows the brief from the Group Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mr. Mele Kyari, at the meeting in Abuja. Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State, who spoke on behalf of the forum, has given assurances of the governors to support the policies of the federal government, expressing hope for a better outcome soon.
I don't think that you or me will be happy as a Nigerian, an OPEC member, producing crude oil, relying on importation for our people to make use of petroleum products. So we must encourage the homegrown solution that the president just introduced. Encouraging Dangote refinery, we should repair our Port Harcourt refinery, repair our Warri refinery, repair our Kaduna refinery, and then produce what we eat and eat what we produce. We shouldn't rely on importation of fuel. For me, it is an aberration, an issue, to rely on importation of petroleum products as an oil-producing country. Which other member of OPEC country of our status is not refining crude oil in their country? So we shouldn't encourage that. I think I want to support buying petroleum product in Naira, buying crude oil in Naira, refining it here. If you refine petroleum products locally, you create jobs for our people. We sympathize with our people. We know that there is hardship in the country. We also appreciate the reforms being carried out by the president. Our prayer is that as soon as possible, that the relief we are looking for should come.
Still on the oil and gas industry, Dangote refinery has reacted to the insinuation by the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, that IPMAN, that members are experiencing difficulties loading refined products from their refinery. Dangote states that there are no direct business dealings between both parties at this time, and payments made are through the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, that's the NNPCL. Dangote further notes that they can meet the nation's demand for all products, including petrol, diesel, and aviation fuel, with the capacity to load 2,900 trucks daily, and also evacuate by sea when necessary. Well, this is contained in a statement signed by the refinery's Group Chief Branding and Communication Officer, Mr. Anthony Chejina. Still in there, the Senate is set to begin a 10-day pre-budget oversight of ministries, departments, and agencies starting from next week, Tuesday. The President of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio, who made this announcement during plenary. I said that the lawmakers are set to resume November 19 to consider the medium-term expenditure framework. Meanwhile, the Senate has reconstituted its ad hoc committee investigating the alleged economic sabotage in Nigerian petroleum industry. And National Assembly correspondent Gloria Mizuke sent in this report.
Converging on the upper chamber for the last plenary of the week, lawmakers zero in attention on a motion by the Senate's leader on the need to harmonize investigation on the alleged economic sabotage in the petroleum industry.
There is need for the ad hoc committees of the two chambers to work jointly to avoid duplication and clash in the discharge of their assignment. The Senate resolves to 1. Recapture the title of the ad hoc committee to National Assembly Joint Ad hoc Committee to investigate alleged economic sabotage in the Nigerian petroleum industry.
Those in favor of this recommendation of this prayer, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
The reconstitution comes months after the setup of the ad hoc committee to probe the sector, and at a time when speculations became rife that major stakeholders in the industry are making efforts to halt the probe by lawmakers.
Session to discuss matters of Central Patrick and the busy, because it's something that
we should give attention to technology, innovation, science.
The report by the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and TED Fund on the David Umahi University, Ebonyi State, was declined.
In all the institutions we have passed so far, we have not seen the one that bears somebody's name. I don't know why this particular one will come with the name of a serving minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So there are issues to be discussed. So this bill is accordingly stepped down for further consultations.
The lawmakers then proceed to an executive session. When plenary resumed, the President of the Senate made an announcement.
The Senate equally decided to suspend plenary to be able to go on pre-budget oversight functions beginning from the Tuesday, the 5th day of November 2024. And thereafter, for about 10 days. This will take us to the 15th.
Now, upon resumption, lawmakers are expected to receive the medium-term expenditure framework, which is usually presented before the budget, expected to be submitted by the executive upon their resumption in 2 weeks. Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
Now let's look at the Naira now. We saw mixed sentiments at the different markets of the currency, trading in the currency yesterday. For NAFEX, we saw an appreciation of 4 Naira 87 kobo, where it settled at 1,656 Naira 97 kobo. That's because of the previous day's intervention from CBN. And then remember that the World Bank had talked about this intervention of CBN, which seems not to be, well, not so certain. We don't know when to expect it or when not. The World Bank had spoken against this. We hope that we can get a calendar when to expect intervention from the central bank into the currency market or not. And also looking at the other market, that's the NFM, which is the more realistic market. When you talk of the official, we saw that the Naira depreciated, lost 44 Naira 32 kobo to close at 1,675 Naira 49 kobo, opened at 1,631 Naira 17 kobo, so lost almost 3% at the close of trade yesterday. I mean, it seems the Naira has been hovering around 1,006, 1,007 since last week. Not an encouraging one, because we're hoping at least to stay around 1,005. Not that that's so comforting, but I mean, that's, you know, a level to look at. But we've lost that 1,005 now for about 2 weeks. We're settling around 1,006 and 1,007 in spite of intervention from the federal government, that's the Central Bank of Nigeria. Well, I guess that's why the federal government has unveiled a new policy that is set to permit Nigerians who currently hold dollar outside the formal banking system to bring those funds into the financial system. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edu, who made this known at the National Economic Council meeting chaired by the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, says that such individuals have 9 months grace to comply with the directive without attracting legal liability or financial penalties. He explains that the new initiative aims to address the rising cost of commodities influenced by foreign exchange rates and driven by demand and supply dynamics. He clarifies that under this program, individuals can bring in US dollars in cash without facing penalties, taxes, or scrutiny, provided that the funds are not linked to criminal or illicit activities. Meanwhile, the funds in the excess crude account as at yesterday stood at over $473,000, while the stabilization account was at over 36 billion naira. The governor of Kwara State, Abdurrahman Abdulrazak, disclosed this after that National Economic Council meeting at the presidential villa in Abuja. He said that this is part of a presentation by the Minister of Finance, Mr. Wale Edu, to the council.
Excess crude account $473,754.57. The natural resources account $26,105,837,627 naira 67 kobo. Stabilization account $36,299,452,763 naira 32 kobo. Things are really looking up indeed.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we will look at it's the first day in the month of November, so I guess it's a good time to look back into the month of October and see what the investment climate has been like in the country, what has gone up and what has come down. We'll have that conversation after this break. Stay with us. Welcome back to watching Business Morning on Sunrise Daily. Let's look at our investment climate for the month of October now as we begin a new month. Well, we'll start with the NGX, the stock markets. I guess that's predictable. Unfortunately, it does seem like October was a red one for the month, because we see as at yesterday, the close of trade, there was a drop in the all share index, but this is for yesterday, this is not for the month. We'll have our guests tell us what the month looks like. And for equities yesterday, we saw there was a drop of over 25 billion naira from the equities cap to close at 59.171. We saw a lot of negative activities around the banking sector. That was also recorded in most weeks, but yesterday it was positive. Consumer goods, industrial goods went down slightly. Insurance was, well, this way and that, and then oil and gas looked good, 1.3% in the green at the close of trade. Yesterday, top trade yesterday, UBA, UACN, and Charms. But let's look bigger, further than this now with Mr. Rotimi Fakaejo joining us virtually. Now, Mr. Fakaejo is the managing director of Greenhouse Business Diagnostic and Analytic Limited, joins us virtually. Mr. Fakaejo, good morning and thank you for your time.
Good morning.
So how would you describe the month for the market, the NGX? Let's start from there.
Well, I think for me, the month is a spectacular one, even given the fact that the month ended negative. And why would I say it was a spectacular one? Because we saw a rebound in the prices of the banking sector stocks. It was very significant. And we also saw other sectors at least adding value. The reason why we are where we are is that Aradel Holdings, which was newly listed in the month on the 14th of October, as it's listing, it was listed as 722 naira. As at the close of business yesterday, it was 495 naira. It was expected that a new listing will add value to the market, but unfortunately, that is what has brought the market to its knees in the month of October. Otherwise, the market will still have closed positively. Coupled with the fact that we saw a share price loss in the stock of Boas Cement. But if you discount those two stocks, then definitely the month will have ended much better than we did that we saw. And I think the performance metrics in other aspects also spoke loud of this. We saw good volume being done, good value being done, and also we saw fantastic results being posted in the month of October. So all in all, I believe strongly that this definitely added a lot of value, except for the minus that we saw from Aradel and Boas Cement.
What about the banking sector? One would have thought that because of the recap activities going on, we would see a lot of positive movements around the banking sector. But it didn't seem that way for the month.
Well, I think it did happen because for Access Bank gained about almost 10 to 15% in the month. UBA gained more than 25%. We saw Zenith Bank going up. We also saw GT Co moving from below 50 to above 50 that we are now seeing it. So if you look at Fidelity Bank as well, so if you look globally, if you look at all the stocks in the banking sector put together, they actually added value. And this also is coming out of the fact that the dividend that they paid out, the interim dividend, a lot of investors are very much impressed with those figures. And that is the reason why we are seeing this. So banking sector stocks actually added value to the market in the month of October rather than brought it down. Like I said earlier, it was just basically the share price of Boas Cement and Aradel that actually brought down the markets and made it negative.
Let's look at outside the stock market now, other activities in that sector when we talk about, our banking, our investment environment. We did see, of course, our FDI, but that's the figure we have now is for the second quarter. We saw a drop in our FDI. Talking about foreign participation in the NGX and outside the NGX, obviously, FDI is outside the NGX. We saw a drop there, a 74.97% drop for the second quarter compared to the year, that's year on year. And then also we saw data from the MBS showing that FDI, of course, there you have it, includes equity and other capital. Most of it came from equity investment, talking about our FDI. Then Henley and Partners shows that other industrial activities also took place, like in agriculture, in logistics, commodities, communications, corporate expansion and new ventures, foreign investment, and all of that. So foreigners also, Nigerians also investing outside the shores. How would you capture the activities or the data that you're privy to for the month of October?
Well, I think for the FDI and the FPI, the lopsided movements of the Naira is still very much of a concern. And the investment climate is not yet clear for most investors that will have actually wanted to come in. We saw a spike in the price of petroleum products, especially PMS, and that also brought in the fear that it might impact negatively on inflation figures. So these are things that actually guided the decisions of investors rather to stay put and watch what comes on from now rather than incur another risk venture again. So I believe strongly that the various capacities with which the federal government is trying to turn around the economy, I believe that things may begin to work better. And one of those things is that the cooperation that between the NNPCL and Dangote refineries, whereby now the Naira-based crude oil is going to start playing out, and we foresee either a stability or a drop in the price of PMS. So if that should happen, then definitely we might see better things coming for us. But for now, I think the investment climate is still very, very cloudy, and no one is actually ready to stake a lot of things.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of intervention from the CBN, talking about the Naira now, the value of the Naira, but it doesn't seem like the Naira performed well in the month of October.
Yes, it didn't, because we expected that with the various interventions put in place, that the Naira, at least I will have started seeing a drop in the exchange rate, but it's still maintaining 1640, 1670 up to very present. So the CBN has to look more inward, and they've put in a lot to ensure that the Naira is stable. But I think, to me, there's still some regulatory framework that needs to be enhanced. Those who are actually pulling back the efforts of the CBN have to be dealt with. And until that happens, CBN's efforts will not be appreciated at all. So with quite a number of operators within the system, we are not seeing enough sanctions being inflicted on them. The moment CBN begins to do that and begin to create a deterrent for those who are actually head-bent on seeing the Naira go further down, I think the earlier the better the CBN begins to do that. And at the same time, again, we've seen situations whereby CBN has done everything possible, but in the meanwhile, those who are head-bent on using the dollar as a store of value while in Nigeria, I believe CBN has to take a critical look at these people and maybe do something that will bring this, that will nip this in the bud.
So why do you think perhaps the CBN seems reluctant? Because, I mean, there's data, there are flow of transactions there, so the CBN can actually trace whoever is supposed to, who is doing something wrong. Why do you think it seems like the CBN is reluctant to take action in that line?
Well, I think, the way it is, when something has been the order of the day, for the banks especially, and in order not to rock the boat all at the same time, there are several things come into play presently. But I think CBN is just holding back a little to wield the big stick, so that the boat is not rocked unnecessarily. But I want to believe that if they can actually come up with more sanctions or effect the existing rules and regulations with which the banks play within the financial markets, I believe that strongly we will get a better result. But I don't think the CBN is weak at all. The CBN is strong enough to wield the big sticks. But what we will say is that they should be encouraged to do that for at least to salvage the efforts that they have been making, so that things don't continue the way we are seeing it.
And what are your thoughts about this latest policy by the central bank that was announced yesterday after the Economic Council meeting, giving Nigerians who are holding dollar outside the financial system 9 months to return it? I mean, what do you do if people, are you going to go to people's houses to ask or search for dollars? How workable is it? How realistic is it? And so what impacts do we expect at the end of 9 months?
Well, I think the CBN can do a lot. Those who are keeping dollars in their homes are afraid of tomorrow. Either their money is stolen, or they believe that the Naira is going to dip further. I think what may need to happen is that the CBN, with this that they have said, should ensure that there is no dollar-denominated transaction in Nigeria, either in the five-star hotels, in any supermarket, in whatever transaction. Anyone that is coming to Nigeria should do all transactions in Naira. And I believe that is the only way that our currency can be strengthened. But as long as we still have dollar-denominated transactions within the country, I don't see a way how that policy will actually be able to achieve its purpose.
So we've started a new month now. We have a lot of government policies. I mean, the latest one is this 9-month one. What are your expectations as we get to the end of the year? Talking about FPIs, FDIs, the stock markets, foreign participation there has dropped also. What are your expectations? I mean, people are still complaining of policy somersault, in spite of all of this. So when you put the whole picture together, what do you see for November?
Well, I think maybe to comment quickly on that and also to commend this present regime. At least for the first time, we are seeing cohesion, some cohesion in the activities of the fiscal authority and also the monetary authority. And I think at this time, I would say that that cooperation should be better enhanced. So before CBN does or makes any pronouncement, or even the Federal Executive Council, they should at least have had robust interactions with each other before going forward. For me, I think for FDIs, I believe that towards the end of the year, we're going to see more FDIs coming in, at least to prove or to add value to the different efforts that the president government is making and also the policies of the CBN. And at the same time, too, I believe that with the way things are, definitely the equity market is going to get stronger. And we've seen a lot of stability with the relaxed participation of foreign portfolio investors, enhancing stability. But now, this time, if they begin to see more positive things in the market, they definitely will come around and boost the market. But I still see a better performance for the economy as we approach the end of the year, and also a much robust performance for the equity market as we approach the end of the year.
I will believe with you, Mr. Rotimi Fakaija. Thank you so much for your time. Managing Director of Greenhouse Business Diagnostic and Analytic Limited. Thank you.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
All right, so that's how much we can do this morning for Business Morning on Sunrise Daily. And you're back to Kayla and Chamberlain, but I'll be back 1 p.m. for 55 minutes of business. You don't want to miss it. We have some exciting stories from the world of business. I'm Ini John Mekwa.